pronounced the way it's spelled if they don't, if you only look. So it's not a difficult name.
That's right. And Chiyoko Takemoto.
Correct.
Not a hard name at all. Okay. We'll start off with why you came to live here at Williamsburg this week.
Well, my husband had passed away about 12 years ago, and I was living in Los Angeles, and my son, since he was teaching here at the State University, he suggested that in case of emergency, Los Angeles was too far. So that was the reason for me coming to Logan.
How many kids were there in your family growing up? I think we talked a little bit about this.
My family consisted of my father and a brother, sister, and myself, in that my mother had passed away when I was 12 years old.
Okay. And who was your childhood hero?
Well, my childhood hero, I would consider it my father. He was a very... I thought I was very fortunate, of course, to have such a father, but he was such a gentle person and very considerate. And as I recall, he never raised his voice. And of course, my mother now was ill for 8 years, a bedridden illness. And I remember he took care of her for 8 years, and I never heard them complain or yell at each other or anything like that. And so I really grew up in a happy and peaceful home.
Oh, that's wonderful. Did you have a best friend when you were growing up that you remember?
Oh, yes, I had a best friend. She and I, as we went through high school, we always did things together, and she was a very good influence for me too. Her father now was a very successful farmer, but my father was just leasing his land and struggling to make a living. But my friend and I, we somehow got along so well that we went through school like sisters.
Oh, that's nice. And what was her name?
Mariko. And you want the whole name?
Mariko's good.
Yeah, Mariko.
Okay. Who's a powerful figure from history or present that you look up to?
Oh, my goodness. Now, that's a difficult one. Well, I think of all the presidents, I really respected Abraham Lincoln. I feel that in spite of all odds, he stuck with his conviction of what freedom should be and what was written in the Constitution. So anyway, I always respected President Lincoln.
Yeah, he was a good man.
Yes.
What is your favorite childhood memory?
Well, I say my childhood memory was always happy in spite of our family being poor, and it was during the Depression years also, in which, well, everybody, I guess, was having a difficult time. And so even little things used to make us happy, because when you're poor, though, and as a child you don't know you are poor, but since we had a happy household, I can't just pinpoint one favorite thing. Oh, but the thing is, see, I can't recall birthday parties and things like that. See,
You didn't celebrate birthdays in your family growing up?
There was no birthday parties.
Really? Is that from Japanese culture?
No,
or,
no.
Or just your family?
No, well, I guess it was just my family, but in the Depression years, this younger generation do not realize what we really went through during the Depression years, and but we survived.
Yeah. So the lack of birthday parties was more for
No,
not having money.
No birthday parties, no vacations. No.
Yeah. That's fun. That's an interesting thing to learn about that most people wouldn't know about the Depression.
And so now I appreciate a lot of things that we could do now and couldn't before.
Because you remember what it was like to not
Oh,
be able
yes,
to,
yes,
to not have
that's it.
it.
A little hardship never hurt anyone.
Yeah. So what's your favorite color?
Oh, my favorite color, I guess, is blue.
That's my favorite color, too.
Oh, I see. Yeah, so that's...
And what's your favorite food?
Oh, well, the favorite food for most Japanese is sushi. And...
Can you make sushi?
Oh, yes, that we learned to make. Although my mother was ill, she tried to show my sister and me how to cook quite a few Japanese things, and so we appreciated it. Later in years, my sister and we used to cook the Japanese dinner because New Year's Day is the big day for Japanese. And we always made sushi and a lot of other goodies.
Sushi's quite an artistic meal to make.
Yes, it's not easy, but to be able to make a sushi is really an accomplishment.
Yeah, it's quite a talent, I'll say. That's why I was so surprised. I thought, wow, you can make sushi. That's impressive. What's your favorite song?
My favorite, oh dear. I can't sing it now or anything or what the title is, but I recall the first trip I made into Utah and to come to Logan, that we come through that Sardine Pass. Well, just as you come over the hill, there's the beautiful scenery of the valley, and that song about, and suddenly there's a valley. Would you happen to know the name of that song?
Suddenly there's a valley.
Yeah.
Do you know any more about how it goes?
I wish I knew the title, but every time I come on that spot, I think of that song, and I just can't remember the rest of the words. But and suddenly there's a valley.
What you did for work?
Oh, working in the bank.
That's right.
Yes. This was after we had come back from camp and had settled, and my children were pretty well grown, and so I decided to work. But already I was about, at that time, close to 40 years old, and it's a funny thing, but they always say when a woman reaches about 40, you really, it's hard to find a decent job.
Yeah.
But I had the opportunity when one of my friends, he was not the manager of the bank, but an assistant manager, and they needed a person that was bilingual, and so he approached me, and of course I was kind of surprised and worried to get into such a job when I'm not experienced.
Yeah.
But he said, oh, just give it a try. And so when I went to apply, the manager was quite pleased because I was bilingual. So it pays to, be able to speak other languages. I didn't speak it very well because I was unable to go to the Japanese language schools that they did have, but I never attended, and so my Japanese is the Japanese that is spoken in the home. And but in time, I gradually learned to be able to even explain business things, and
Mhm.
so I worked for 17 years,
Oh my.
and worked in many positions in the bank while I was there.
It sounds like you were always learning.
Oh yes, there is always time to learn something new.
Yeah. What hobbies do you enjoy?
I have had a lot of hobbies through the years. I love to sew, and I wasn't good at knitting and crocheting, but if Christmas comes around, I make just dozens of these Raggedy Ann and Andy dolls, and all my friends wanted those to give to their grandchild, so I was busy too, making for all my grandchildren the Raggedy Anns, and I had other hobbies in which, I was into the making dried pressed flowers, and you make cards with them.
Wow.
And so that was another thing. And when I do have a hobby, I just go all out, and I made hundreds of cards and gave them away to all my friends.
Yeah. Now, tell me about these pictures that you have hanging on your
this
walls.
was also, this is a Japanese type of artwork, I'd say, and it's called bunka. But what it is punch embroidery. And I got into that too, and I made just dozens of pictures, but gave them all away. So I only have a few left here. I'll just explain now. That's the bamboo, and my name Takemoto is the bamboo.
Oh, Takemoto means
and
bamboo.
Just a take.
Take means
Take means bamboo. Moto means base usually.
Base. Okay.
So
So your name means the base of the bamboo. What has been your proudest accomplishment so far?
oh well, I think as a mother, just to raise decent children and that become successful, because my son is a professor at the state university, and he's always loved his job.
It sounds like your kids have done really well. Well, you should be proud of them. Is there anything else that you'd like people to know about you?
Well, now I have a daughter, though, living in St. George, and she had just one daughter. It's an adopted daughter from Korea, and but for years she would jokingly say, "I don't think I'll ever be a grandmother." But lo and behold, last year she got her first grandchild.
Oh, good for her.
And then this year she got so suddenly she has 2 grandchildren. And so things are working out for her. She and her husband had worked for years in the telephone business, but now they are retired and enjoy life in St. George. And my son is here close by, and so it's a comfort to me to be able to be close to my family.
Oh, that's very nice. This has been another episode of Who's My Neighbor here at Williamsburg, and I'm Tyler Bott, and this has been our special edition with Chiyoko Takemoto.
Yes.
I got that right again.
Yes.
And someday maybe my Japanese will improve. We'll go back to our regular news programming. Thank you all very much.